Yeah, man, it's one of the most special things you can do as an artist. You know, when you feel like your music is has an influence on people's lives, has an impact. You know, can really connect with people and help them make positive changes in their life, or inspire them to try something maybe they're scared of, inspire them to try something new or chase something, a passion, a dream that they're after. Like we hear that a lot from people. Like, hey, you're the reason why I started playing drums, which is hey, that's pretty basic, right? They saw me play drums, they want to play drums as well, or you made me want to be in a band, which is awesome. But then you get other people that are like, man, I was in a tough situation, and your song just helped me get out of it, you know, and just kind of they gave me some empowerment to be strong and to get through like a sickness or an illness or my parents dying, whatever. You see so many people telling us that like because of you, like because of your song, I was able to like chase this dream that I had, and it gave me the courage. And it's hard to imagine when you write a song, when you start a band in your parents' basement, that you're gonna have that kind of impact. And sometimes I always wonder, do people really exaggerate? Do they really mean it when they say like, oh man, like this song like saved my life, literally? And you always wonder like, okay, they're probably a little exaggerated, but when you hear it over and over again, it just kind of starts to sink in that music really has that kind of power on people. And it's not really like us per se, it's the art, it's the music, it's the feeling you get when you hear a song, when you go see a show. It's not really me because the way I play drums or whatever. It's more like the concept of of music being powerful and being able to move people and make them overcome difficult things in their lives. You know?
I'm sure you have passions, I'm sure you have interests, but what is a place that you can get fulfillment and escape? Because you're an escape for so many other people, not you.
Right. Well, that's a good question. I guess I'll answer your first question that you asked, like what else I would have done. I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be involved in sports. That was my favorite thing. I wanted to be a pro hockey player. That was my dream.
And from Canada.
Yeah, Montreal, born and raised. So
like everybody, yeah.
That's sort of the normal, like that's what
yeah.
people sort of dream about. That's
sure.
Kind of like the cliche maybe.
But did every hockey player want to be a rock star?
That, now that I've been, in a band and I had the chance to meet a lot of pro athletes, it's exactly that. Every pro athlete wants to be a rock star. Every musician wants to be like a professional athlete.
I'm not going to get too close, but you have all your teeth, so we're doing well.
Yes,
right?
We're good. Yes, I didn't play that long of hockey where I had any trouble with it. I still play now, but my point was sports was a really big thing, and I realized that around 13 years old that maybe it wasn't going to happen for me, and music just came in my life right then, and I literally I stopped playing hockey. I stopped doing anything else. I was doing tons of sport like tennis and ski and everything, and I just stopped everything. And my dad told me it was crazy, like from one day to the next, you didn't completely stop and just focus on music. That was my sole purpose. That's all I wanted to do. That was my sole focus. And so I think if I would not have been in the band, I probably would have tried to find a way somehow to be involved in the music scene, or the music world and the industry somehow, maybe like a manager, maybe an agent, maybe a lawyer for bands, or I just really wanted to be involved in not just playing music, but building like a band, like building a career. How do you go from playing in your garage, in your basement, to like headlining stadiums or festivals or arenas or whatever? That was really interesting to me. I think I would have tried to find a way to be involved somehow in that business, in that industry. I was a music journalist for a while, so I did interviews with people, and that was really cool. But I think I would have wanted to be more on the other side of like being involved with the bands. And now, where do I find escape and passion? I think it's funny. It kind of went full circle. It's in sports. So I really enjoy playing tennis again. I started playing golf about 10 years ago, and I'm very serious about it. I try to really get better. That's really fun for me. I love reading. I find mostly nonfiction stuff that helps me with the band, like get ideas and whatever. But I find that for me, to learn about like people's lives and what they've done and the choices they've made and their whatever strategy they use to achieve their dreams, that's really interesting to me. So I like that, and I think being a dad is the other thing that I spend a lot of time doing right now. My son is 8, so this has become a gigantic part of my life. So being involved in that and getting better at that, and doing it in the most like heartfelt and enthusiastic way that I can is really my sort of purpose right now.
We are very close in the sense of the ages of our children, and it's beautiful to be able to relate. But I think that there's another layer. Your art, as in like the entity, right? The whole band, because everybody's important. They have to be, and I'm just so grateful that you're hanging out with me.
My pleasure.
It's one of my goals for my son not to sing Perfect About Me.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, of course. It's interesting how the song, we wrote it, and it's interesting because it's probably one of the most known songs that we've made, and probably one of the most, I would say, powerful lyric that we ever wrote in our career. And it's very simple, right? I'm sorry, I can't be perfect, and everybody can relate to that. And I thought it was, when we wrote it about trying to be in this band and trying to explain to our parents that, it wasn't just a hobby for us. We really wanted to pursue this. It was important. Like, we had to. It wasn't just a little phase or something. And I think for them, coming from being like, they all had, like, my mom, did all her PhD, and my dad was a lawyer. So for them, it was very important that we went to college and we graduated and all that. And I was enrolled in law school. I was going to law school when we formed this band, and I dropped out to focus on the band. And I remember this conversation where the song came from was like trying to explain to them, like, I know you think that's crazy and you think that I'm making a big mistake, but law school will always be there if I want to go back. But this chance right now, this dream that I have, in 5 years it might not be possible anymore. I have to give it a shot. So they were extremely supportive of the band. Like, we've been practicing in my basement for 10 years, with the music blaring, and like they've given us money to make demos, and they drove us to shows. And so they were not like the kind of parent that Perfect is really about, I think we made the song a bit more dramatic, but the inspiration came from one kind of a fight one day where I was explaining to them, like, hey, I'm going to do this. I don't care if you agree or not. I need to do this. And I just left, and I went outside and wrote some lyrics in a notebook. And I remember showing it to Pierre, and we came up with the chorus and the song together, and we wrote the whole story. And I think we might have exaggerated a little bit how bad their reaction was, but we wanted to make it more universal. Like, it could apply to anyone's situation. And we knew that we had tapped into something that was quite profound. Like, everybody, I don't think we realized it perfectly at the time how much it would resonate with people, but we knew there was something there to that subject, right? Because everybody wants their parents to be proud of them, right? It's kind of like the one thing that you want to do in your life, And it's interesting thinking back about it now that I've become a dad and having my son. Like, yeah, I certainly don't want him to feel like the person in that song felt. But at the same time, I would say that for me, like, if I can be half the parent that my dad has been to me and my mom has been to me, I think I'll succeed, because they've been incredible. So I feel bad in the way that we wrote that song, because I truly feel they were very supportive people. But when you're 19 or 18 or 15, you see things very black and white and very dramatically. But I'm very grateful that we wrote it, and it's actually my dad's favorite song,
That's brilliant. Yeah. And I never do tons of prep of brand new things when I speak to artists like you, because to me, I'm inspired by the arc. And I would hate to pull something, because we live in a world of disinformation, so I just get it all from here.
Right.
And I'm sorry if you've told that story 100 times.
No, it's all good.
And the story itself, I understand that it's not completely autobiographical.
Right.
But it does resonate with so many other people, and I hate to be cheesy, but it is a perfect song in the sense that it can reach that many people. And I think we were very fortunate to live in a bubble at that time where Blink-182, Stay Together for the Kids was popping just that time as well.
Right.
And it's another thing that you mentioned, which has come full circle right now, is phase. And we are living right now, and your art and these artists are the perfect, sorry, I have to stop using that word, but they are an amazing representation of, it's not a phase.
Right.
It's a lifestyle, because I was here in 2002, 2003, just
Right.
wringing wet, screaming the exact same songs that I'm going to do
Right,
in about an
nice.
hour.
Yeah.
I feel that your art, the team's art rather, with Perfect and the Stay Together for the Kids, it was there was mental health awareness. Was that something that was shared in your home? Because I feel that opened so many doors
Right.
to it's okay to not be okay.
Right, sure.
There was a time where there was a generation where, oh, I'm sad. Well, then you're a sissy, and you just
Right.
sit there and you just disregard all those feelings.
Yeah.
And some of those people died of heart attacks because they kept everything in and bubbled and just. But now it's, hey, it's all right.
Right.
Now I get to have that conversation with other people like, how's your day? How are you doing? If you're not well, let's talk about it.
Sure.
Instead of having to hit play on a track to feel a little better, almost communicating with the artist and the artist communicating with you. Now we get to talk to the people that care about us.
Right.
Were you ever conscious of that?
I think, I mean, I don't know. I want to theorize here and say that this is why society has a different perspective of mental health. But I think this scene, like not just our band, but all these bands you mentioned and the emo scene as well, really, at first, a lot of people were kind of making fun of the lyrics, saying, oh, it's, you know, everybody's crying and everything. But I think that it did have a big cultural impact on, especially on our generation and the people that were like in high school when these records came out. And I feel like maybe it normalized a lot of guys, especially, being able to kind of express how they felt instead of always trying to repress it, you know? So I think the music maybe in a way entered into pop culture and made people, gave permission to people to be a bit more open about how they felt and made them realize that they were not the only people. You know, obviously music has always done that, but this scene was very sort of known.
We have
for-
mental health days now.
for doing
I'm
that.
not trying
That's
to
what I
cut
mean.
you off,
So,
but we have,
yeah.
yes, like there was not a
Well, I
mental
think
health day when I was going
Right.
to
Well,
school.
There's been a big social evolution
Yeah.
on that topic, and I wonder sometimes if this music scene, these songs, maybe help this new generation to be more mindful of how they felt and how their peers felt and their families, or you know, whatever these issues were. I think it made it. I'm not gonna say it made it cool, because it's not about being cool or not. It made it just more normalized, acceptable. You know, more like it made it like it was, like you said, it was okay.
When Perfect hits Top 40 Radio and Jimmy Kimmel and K-Rock,
Right.
people are going to start to talk.
That's
And
what I mean.
again, I'm not saying it's the only entity, but it's beautiful to have that because now we get to have those conversations. So
Right.
I never know what artists think when they write things, and some things come from passion and some things come from anger, but it's beautiful that this made a positive change.
Yeah. Well, I know, like the one thing I'll say that I don't think at the time we really understood or realized that the song would be as important as it was in our career and for our fans. Like, but I remember the first time that we started to have like that intuition. We were playing a show. I remember, I think it was in Burlington, Vermont, and it was one of the first time we played that song live. And I remember seeing a few, like, I mean, that was before we had sold any records. The record was out, but not selling yet and being a bit under the radar. I remember there was 3 or 4 girls that were in the front row that had drove from Montreal, our hometown. They were like early fans. And when we played that song, they started to cry. And I remember watching that from where I was playing and going like, okay, there's something to that song. We've tapped into something special. And nowadays, it has become such a core part of our shows and our band, and who we are as a band, that we always close every show with that song. And it would be crazy, no pun intended, to not play that song, you know, on a headliner show. Like, it has become like a signature song, and I think it has really helped a lot of people over the years. Like, we've gotten so many letters, so many comments on social media, so many people in person coming up to us and saying like, if I didn't have that song, I don't think I would be here today. And a lot of people would tell us like, you know, my dad was dying his last year, and this is how we were able to reconnect because of that song. I played it to him and he understood how I felt and all that. So yeah, it's been, I love the legacy of the song. I'm really proud of it, and I think it's a gift when you're able to write something that feels personal to you, but also connects to a whole bunch of people around the world. So yeah, we're lucky to have that song.
My next question is about legacy. your art and your team members of this band, it's a legacy band. Where do you go from here? I mean, wasn't that a goal?
Sure.
And now,
Yeah,
but
100%.
so now that you've broken through that ceiling, where do you go from here?
I think we still have lots of aspiration and dreams for the band. I think that it's pretty cool that I feel we have entered a phase where if we want to keep playing for another 20 years, people will be there and will show up. And we've entered that sort of that era of the band where it's like it's not in danger of just not existing anymore or not having fans showing up to shows. Like, I mean, but the goal now is like, okay, can we take it to a whole different level? Can we keep reaching new people? Can we make new fans from the new generation? Like, make people that are, 12 or 15 now, or even 9, 10 years old, can they become fans? Can we become, almost like, it's pretty crazy to think of ourselves as a classic rock band, but I feel in a way like some of these bands of our era and a bit before, like we're entering that phase where you become like, classic.
So Bowling for Soup wrote 1985.
Right. Yeah.
In 2005.
Right.
Where are we now?
It's true, 2024, so it's 20 years later, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
so
exactly
you
that.
have not the art has become that classic rock status, not
Right.
the classic rock
Which is
sound.
kind of a very weird thing to wrap your head around when you're in it, because it doesn't feel, to me, it feels like yesterday that we put out our first record. But at the same time, it's been more than 20 years as a band, and I think that when you reach these kind of like longevity, I think it gives you a chance to, in a way, like take the band even higher and reach more people. Like, that's always been our goal since day one. It was to reach people. It was to play in front of as many people as we could, and it was to have people hear our songs. And that's still the goal today. Now, we do it via different channels. Like we're on a TikTok and our Instagram, and we try to show people that maybe never heard of us. Hey, check this out. Here we are. This is what we do. This is the last 20 years of our band, and so I think we're very proud of our past, but at the same time we're very excited about the present and the future and what's next and the new music we're making, and we're proud of the old music. So it's kind of like a really great position to be in right now as a band, and I feel like in a way we're getting bigger every day, so it's kind of fun.
As a photographer, I want to give a shout out to your tour photographer because they are telling an absolutely phenomenal story.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We have some very talented girls with us.
We are in the Midwest. It is a Sunday. VIP is sold out, and Indiana has nothing less than stellar images of a sea of people, and that's not easy to do in an amphitheater.
Yeah.
So again, it's on a Sunday in the Midwest at the end of summer. Yeah. School's not in. People have places to go, right, but they still choose to enjoy your art. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you.